Hey everybody, my name's Jason. I'm 53 years old. I have prostate cancer that's metastasized to my spine, and on this channel we talk about it. Today we're going to be talking about some psychiatric stuff. We're going to talk about the impact of hormone therapy on the id. We're going to talk about Sigmund Freud's psychoanalytical analysis of what makes up a person, what makes up our consciousness, and the three parts, the superego, the ego, and the id. And we're going to be focusing on the id. The emotional and physical changes because of our treatment. We're intentionally taking drugs that affects our id. So let's talk about what that is and why. Be right back.
Welcome to Prostate Cancer, the road to recovery with Jason Stone, a stage 4 fighter. This podcast brings you support and insights from survivors, fighters, and medical experts. Join us for an educational and inspiring journey. All
right. So the id is Freud's concept that our instinctual drive, our desires, basically the pleasure principle, are driven by 1/3 of our psychological makeup. There's the superego, there's the ego, and then there's the id. And the id is the part of the psyche that has our basic instincts, our desires, hunger, sex. Those kinds of things are driven from the id. It operates on the pleasure principle. It's about seeking immediate gratification without considering reality or consequences. So when you're talking about that's what drives us to, when you think about that, I'm talking about it. Anyway, when you think about that, it's what drives our pursuit of pleasure. It's what drives our avoidance of pain. And this is a key part of why I'm talking about this week. So some background this week. I had a crappy week. I've had a crappy couple of weeks, but I had COVID. I started getting COVID over the weekend, and I thought it was okay, and I didn't test. I didn't know it was COVID Monday, and I went to work, and I probably shouldn't have. I probably should have tested before I went to work. But I was at work, and then my wife called or messaged that she tested later in the afternoon. She tested, and she was bad. It hit her bad. So I was like, well, crap. So then I went home and I tested, and I had to message my manager and say, hey, I got COVID. And what's funny is the same thing happened to him. His wife had tested after he went to work, and she was positive. And then he went home and tested and then was positive. So he was at home too. So I'm pretty sure there's, it wasn't too bad, mostly allergy symptoms, but when you get something like that and you're already weakened and susceptible to infections, and it just kind of hits you different. If you're already experiencing hot flashes, is this a fever or a hot flash? If you're already tired and fatigued, well, is this COVID or my treatment? I just now broke out into a sweat, and I don't even know why. And then the other part, the other side of why I'm talking about this is I've made a few mistakes at work. So I'm not retired. I'm working full time. I'm working this summer. I'm only doing my main job. I'm an instructor I'm a supervisor of training at a nuclear power plant here in the Tri-Cities, Washington. And, training and maintaining accreditation and the administrative side of our job is really important. And a couple things got off track. These are things that wouldn't have normally happened with old me. Old me would have sensed something was off. Old me would have been afraid of the pain of, well, here's what I don't want to happen, and would have looked ahead and had some foresight. And there would have been some emotional drive there to avoid the pain of having a problem and trying and enjoying the gratification of keeping the program in alignment and working right. It hit me this week that I already know I'm not the person I was before, but holy crap, I'm really not the person I was before. So I'm relying heavily on my team to signal when things are, hey, you should be worried about this. I have experience. I'm doing a job that I've been doing for quite a number of years, so experience helps me out a lot. But sometimes you get into these situations where things start to go a little sideways, and you need that instinctual notification to go into your brain saying, hey, why aren't you more afraid of this? Why aren't you screaming a little louder about this? And I'm not having that, which is frustrating for me and a little sad. And that's kind of, which, yeah, just sucks. So yeah, the id drives our pursuit of pleasure, which is the gratification of, hey, I'm doing a good job. I want to do a good job. And the avoidance of pain, hey, let's avoid these things that are going to cause problems and make you work longer. And those programs run in the background, and it just is part of our motivation and drive. So ADT significantly reduces testosterone levels. And by significantly, I mean they're effectively zero, which impacts libido and energy. So this reduction can dull the instinctual drives typically associated with the id, leading to emotional flatness. I'm reading from my notes here because there's a lot to cover on this. Emotional flatness. I am really feeling that this week. I am feeling the emotional flatness. I'm feeling the reserves, the reserve energy, my reserves of motivation and drive are drying or have dried up. And I'm not finding pleasure in the things I used to find pleasure in. I'm not looking for new things to learn very much. There's still a little bit. I'm messing around with the camera, going out and taking some photos. So I'm finding a little interest in that. I got my big rocket that I started is sitting over there in the corner untouched. I got, there's overall an emotional dullness, an emotional flatness that's happened. You know, there was a period of time at work. How much do I say here? Where I had somebody, or where every time I said something, there was somebody who would say, "Oh, he's just complaining." And so that kind of has triggered me to not say things about stuff because I don't want to be seen as a complainer. But add to that the flatness and the lack of that fear-driven and pleasure-driven action, you know, the way to think about things, the way to see things, that means that I'm not doing well at my job. And that's frustrating. Overall, when you're on ADT or on hormone therapy, you can experience a decrease in overall vitality, and you get a shift in your psychological and emotional states. And that's absolutely where I'm at. And I know the guy that's in the comments right now typing out about the going shooting. And I read your comment and how much pleasure that brought to you, and I applaud you, sir. That is awesome. I need to find something like that. I need to go do that. I recognize it. I know that, but sometimes that's not enough. You know, we get these the reduced libido, the emotional flatness, and the change in our energy levels, and that affects our ability to decide to do things. It affects our decision-making ability. It affects our drive to stand up, pick something up, go do something. And it's frustrating. Reduced libido, reduced sexual desire are the most notable effects, which alters our intimate relationships and our self-perception. So that plays into it too. And all this can result from the suppression of the id's drives, the drives from our id. And those changes in our energy levels can affect daily activities, motivation, and all of that plays into our overall quality of life. So, and I'm seeing that. I'm living that right now. And I know the answers. Well, you need to get out and hey, you need to, Jason, you should follow your own advice. Get outside, get some sunlight, go for walks. And that's what I'm going to say. Those are in my notes. I'm going to say to do that. And I know I need to do that. But what do you do when you're feeling stuck, right? And things aren't going the way you know they should be. And this is where I'm at with work. How many of you guys are retired? How many of you guys are still working? That's my real question. How many on this are still working? Did you quit because of your hormone therapy, your hormone treatment? You know, should I just sell the house, pack it up, and move to Italy, live off my military retirement? Am I going to be happier doing that? Is trying to work full time too much? Frick, I don't know. So, part 2, strategies for compensating the impact on the id. I got to tell you, I'm going to try and go through these, but I'm struggling with being heartfelt about them. Which you can see, you know that, and you're living this too. I'm talking to people, to guys that are going through this. So, you know, this isn't falling on deaf ears. But let's talk about these. Yeah, new avenues of fulfillment, creative outlets. And this is where I have always been an incredibly creative person with my leather work, with my writing, with doing card tricks, with just creating things that mean something to me. Turns out I'm not a good painter. So that one's off the table. But creative activities can give us a new way to express feelings and find joy. So even if you're expressing feelings, but you know, I don't, except for painting, or if I was into music, through painting and music, you could express more somber feelings, right? It's tough to do that when your creative outlet is leatherwork or designing rockets. But if you do have something that you can do, some creative outlet, if you are into music or were into music or are into painting or used to paint, pick it back up, get into it, do something, you know, let it trigger something in you. Those activities can help compensate for the loss of the traditional pleasures linked to the id. So it says here, how painting or writing. Oh, I used to love to write. Now I can write somber. I could write, but man, in fact, I prefer to write dark stuff, dark emotional things. But it's tough. I'm just not finding it. I'm not finding the right words. The old me could write. The new me, not so much. But if you are able to do something like that, you know, you can it'll help you articulate emotions that are otherwise hard to express. Intellectual interests, reading, studying, engaging in stimulating discussions. Yeah, I was doing a reading challenge with a friend for a little while, and that fell off pretty quick. I'm just not able to read like I used to. I have to read, and then I reread, and then I reread, and it's tough. I forced myself to read a short book. I'm trying to remember what it is, and it just slipped my mind. And it was something I'd read a dozen times, easy to read, short. What the frick was it? Oh, man. Something I was familiar with, and I was able to get through it. But, Hemingway, Old Man in the Sea. I was able to get through it, but it was a struggle. And I know that book front to back. But if you're able to do any kind of intellectual pursuit, studying something, you know, this vlog, this podcast has given me the opportunity to do some research, the opportunity to go in and learn new things. And I found some fulfillment in that for a while. And that was kind of a sense of accomplishment and some mental stimulation. But what next? What now? But engaging in these activities can shift focus away from the physical effects of the hormone therapy. So examples I got here is joining a book club or taking an online course in a new subject or interest. And those are things you can do. You can also try to deepen your personal relationships. Emotional intimacy can help with some of this. Strengthening emotional bonds can provide comfort, reduce feelings of isolation, and that comes from talking. So open communication with your friends and family is absolutely crucial. And that was something I did really well with early on. I was telling everybody, and I was sharing, and I was absolutely openly communicating about my situation because that helped me. But that's died off, and I don't share it as much as I used to. But if you have the ability to schedule like regular deep conversations, schedule a time, like call a friend that you have deep conversations with and schedule 6 o'clock every Sunday evening or something. Or shared activities with close friends and family. I got a friend right here in the Tri-Cities, and they call us up or text us up once in a while and say, hey, it's a pool party. We're going to go do this. And that's awesome. That helps. But I find myself not reaching out. And that's tough. And I know I'm not, but what do I do about it? I don't know. So regular interaction with friends and family, support groups, and this is where I probably meant to take a right and I took a left. So joining a support group where you can share your experiences and get community support is important. Now, instead of joining a support group, I've taken on the idea of starting one. I don't have anybody that's joined yet. If you're in the Tri-Cities of Washington, leave a comment, let me know, and I'll give you a link to how to sign up to the support group that nobody signed up for yet. And we're going to do our first one the first Friday of September, our first meeting. And that's a lot of emotional, not burden, emotional. It's a lot to take on something like that. And I'm kind of regretting it a little bit because I know I'm the one that needs to be going to one. I don't know that I'm the one that's the right person to run one right now. So I'm kind of having a lot of self-doubt about a lot of things. But if you do find a support group to participate in, when I was able to, I was on the Wednesday night, what was it called? The Reluctant Brotherhood. And that was a fantastic group. There's a bunch of others out there. I'm just starting with zerocancer.org. They've got a lot of support groups. Getting involved in one of those can be huge. They provide practical advice. They can give you emotional support. They can help you navigate these changes. And when you because we're all going to get, you're going to start off and there's going to be the first reactions were holy crap and this is bad and down, and then you start learning things, and the more you learn about it, the better you do, and you're on an upward trend. And then your emotional reserves kick in and they combat the drain from the hormone therapy. But eventually without recharging them, your emotional reserves will dry up. How do you recharge them? I already know. Exercise. Get outside, get some sunlight. It's so hot here. We've just had a week of reprieve from the heat, but before that we had over a week and a half of over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. One day as high as, 43, 44 degrees Celsius? Yeah, 43. It's not fun. So it's tough to get motivated to go walk. What I did do is last Friday I got out, got in the car. I said, I'm going to go wash the car and I'm going to go take my camera and I'm just going to go walk around the Uptown Mall. And I did. And I got some pictures and messed around with trying to, I took raw photos. And if you're a photographer, they'll tell you, hey, do raw photos and then use a program called like Lightroom or Darktable or Raw Therapy. And then you adjust the different things that you can adjust. And I'm learning some of that. But I'm kind of forcing myself to learn that. Yeah, but I did. I forced myself to get out of the house. I forced myself to go for a walk, and that helped. I think it's just work. I think it's just the issues at work just catching up with me, really. And I need to get past that. I need to figure it out. I need to re-engage myself somehow. And I got to find some untapped emotional well where I can, I don't know. Maybe some going for a walk and taking some more pictures will help me recharge a little bit. Because exercise, lifting some weights, you need to anyway to combat the osteoporosis. Exercise releases endorphins, which can improve your mood and help counteract emotional flatness. And as you know, I had hurt my back and I hadn't been exercising. And I finally moved some dumbbells over by the recliner so I can pick up the dumbbells and just do some light dumbbell exercises. And then I got up COVID and once again was completely drained of energy. But I got to get back into it. Got to force myself to get out. Got to force myself to get out there and do things. Staying active helps manage weight gain, which we also get because of the prednisone. The hunger. I hate being hungry all the time. It can help with our physical health. And so just a routine. For me, it's got to be every Friday morning trying to do something, except for not tomorrow, because not tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. Not tomorrow because my oven's broke, and so I got somebody coming over to fix it. Next Friday. And I'm just getting into this loop of putting things off and finding reasons to put stuff off. And it's not good. The diet and the healthy diet, lifestyle, those help contribute to your overall well-being. Balanced diet can support energy levels and general health. Healthy habits, good sleep, hygiene, all these things can help enhance your mood and overall well-being. And I'll tell you, they're only going to go so far. You still have to dig down and figure out what is going to recharge your emotional wells, because they are being tapped all the time. For the littlest thing can tap your emotional well, and when it's dry, man, it sucks. So, and this is the one most on my mind right now. Seeking psychological support. So counseling or therapy can help address emotional and psychological changes. Therapy can offer tools to cope with changes in mood and identity. It can give you a safe space to discuss feelings and challenges openly. I don't know. For me, I think this is my safe space. But seeking a therapist specializing in cancer-related psychological care, doing some mindfulness relaxation techniques can help you manage your stress, can help foster a balance. Because that's what's wrong, is we're out of balance. Our superego, our ego, and our id. To be healthy psychologically, those three things need to be in balance. It's important to have an id, but it's important to have a superego. It's important to have an ego. And these three things tell each other. You get your logic side, you got your emotional side, you got your instinctual side, and all those three things work together to say, hey, you know what? You're freaking doing okay, man. And that thing, yeah, let's go do that. That other thing, let's not go do that. And without the id, all you've got is your ego and your superego, and they just kind of overrun everything. So it's emotional and logical. And that means dull. Yeah. So some of these mindful practices can help maintain that emotional balance. Meditation. I've never tried it. I don't know. I don't know. Has anybody tried meditation? Does it work for you? But it says on my notes here, incorporating daily meditation practices or attending mindfulness workshops can help you. Overall, reframing your goals will help you reframe your identity. What's important? We have to redefine masculinity. We have to redefine our self-image. We have to emphasize qualities beyond our physical strength and our urges and our drives, and because we aren't who we were before. That's a huge change in identity. So how our traditional views of ourselves have been reduced, have been changed with the lower testosterone. So what qualities do we each have that we can focus better on? Resilience, empathy, wisdom, right? Those things are more supported by the superego and the ego. Write down personal values, write down your strengths, redefine yourself in an identity that goes beyond the physical attributes, the physical things that we've lost. And for my work, set new personal professional goals, find a new purpose and direction. Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to do that, but new goals can give you a sense of purpose and achievement. They can be hobbies, they can be career aspirations, it can be reading something new, it can be making a new friend, it can be going for a walk. It can look like a lot of different things. It can be the community, it can be the engaging in the community support groups, it can be community involvement. Or are you in that, what's that, Build a House organization? Do you help with homeless centers? Is there anything you can do from a volunteer perspective that gives you a sense of purpose and community engagement? Because helping others can be a fulfilling way to find meaning and help you find yourself, that's looking, find your new self outside of these personal struggles. Yeah, whatever we do, it takes time and patience. So you have to have self-compassion. And I'm kind of beating myself up a little bit right now. And I know I am. And I know I have to stop it. And I'm going to, but I'm allowing myself a little bit of grace here. I'm allowing myself to feel the feels. Because acknowledgement of how you feel is part of the journey. Taking moments like this to just reflect on, why do I feel the way I do, and is it okay? Well, it's not okay. It's necessary because it's a consequence of where we're at and what we're doing. But yeah, can we get past it? Is there a small victory somewhere I can celebrate? I got to create that victory. I got to create the situation where I accomplish something, where I do something, and then find a way to celebrate that and get a little bit of an endorphin rush out of that. And that is the recharge. And then do it again, and then again. And then hope that you find a way to do that enough that the other things, the mistakes, the things you do wrong, the negative self-perception, that those don't drain it till it's empty. And I just got out of balance. That's all. That's where I'm at. So, yeah, let's wrap this up. It's important to explore new ways to find fulfillment. It's important to seek support. It's important to focus on your personal growth. Consider getting some professional support. Consider getting a new hobby. Consider getting out and finding new ways to find fulfillment. Get into a support group. Get a therapist. Find a friend. Reach out to somebody you haven't talked to in a long time, and maybe don't tell them about the cancer if they don't know. Maybe just have a normal conversation, because there's a lot of strategies. We covered a lot of ideas and a lot of things that I know I'm not doing right now. So I have that self-recognition that I'm saying and not doing right now. But it's important for me to say it before I do it. And so saying it, and these are things I need to do, means I'm more likely to do them. But share your experience. Put in the comments what's been bothering you lately. What are you struggling with outside of the cancer? How has this lack of testosterone put you in a situation where you had to quit your job, where you had to do something else? I want to hear your stories. I want to know more about this. I know I'm not the only one. And I know this isn't our normal support group, but it'll work. Why not? Anyway, I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you for watching all the videos. And I want to thank you. It's like, I want to do this, but are you? Hey, thanks for listening, and thank you for watching. I mean it. This is a great outlet for me. Just doing this, recording this episode has made me feel a little bit better. I'm gonna sit in my recliner tomorrow while the oven guy is working on the oven and work on editing this, so it probably won't be out till tomorrow night. But yeah, I'm thinking about all of you. All right, take care. Love you all.